G'day guys, Josh here. So Rostermania is upon us and there's been a lot of roster changes and whatever you guys have seen it, okay? A lot of big bombshells, a lot of big surprises. I mean, you know, you had the NA scene of a liege, the battle of a liege between Complexity and Evil Geniuses end up in a very, very anticlimactic. Well, I'm just gonna go through it. There is going to be, I gotta say right now, there's going to be unfortunately betting stuff on there as well, which I don't think I just gonna put it right now. I don't really sponsor it, but there's gonna be betting stuff there that I really want to take hold of because this website's actually very, very good for it. Well, I guess you know what I can do. I can just get rid of it like that and put it on like that. Okay. Yeah, I don't like the betting stuff, and it gets really, really annoying. So anyway, we'll put this in post. Okay, put this in post. Nah, I won't edit this at all. Okay, so we got minus Glaive, minus Altex, which I gotta say a bit unlucky for Altex, given the fact that he played pretty well. To bring up Borup and Stare. Now, Borup came out of nowhere, to be honest, that being picked up. I'm gonna say overall, I feel that they could have kept Altex and not really picked up Borup, but I'm gonna say, they're getting rid of the IGL, they're letting Blame F IGL, so Glaive is basically redundant at this stage, so that's probably a good change. And picking up Stare as well is a big change as well, as being that he actually snubbed Astralis a while back as well. But they're good to see him coming back to the scene. Now, they've also got rid of Casper and Hudnan, which are even huge changes as well for Astralis. I don't know who they're going to pick up, but that's a massive change given the fact their organization was just millstones, being Casper and Hudnan, just absolute millstones at the neck, and they need to get rid of them. I mean, they would even top the scene, all of those players, and not players, those coaches and analysts are just a millstone. And at this point, they're more of a liability than they are of help as well. So overall, I think this move is very good from Astralis. I do question Borup and Altex. I mean, they could have kept Altex and don't worry about Borup. But I guess I'm not sure why they're making a change for Borup over Altex. I felt Altex did play pretty well, given the fact that Buzz is has been struggling a bit himself. So next up has been Big. So Big got overhauled by bringing out Process, Sin, and Mantu. With Mantu coming out of OG, that's naturally going to pick him up. He's been actually a pretty solid AWPer. Actually, I don't think Mantu's actually from OG, but, ex-OG, obviously. Now, Sin and Process being picked up as well, it's understandable that, those two rifles were going to be picked up, given the fact that Keto and Favored had been just switching from the bench or whatnot over and over again. And Favor and Keto hadn't really done anything, as per se. Now, neither did Hype either. Hype did not live up to the hype he did as an AWPer. And also, not to mention as well, Big really needs to have this roster switch up, given the fact that they weren't making it deep into tournaments, and they were more of a dark horse or a spoiler type team than an actual contender half the time. So it's probably a good change overall. They keep Crimbo, they get some really good young rifles as well to build around Tabson, who's an absolute star himself, and they do get a big upgrade in the AWPer as well. Next up is going to be Complexity, is going to be Fang, and plus a Liege. This is kind of a neutral change, to be honest. Fang and Elige probably play the same sort of spots. Elige has probably got a bit more experience, but I'd say overall it's probably a neutral change for Complexity, probably training experience, trying to build that roster again, because I think, especially with Complexity, they do need that experience in that roster as well, because they did surprise towards the end of the year where they performed quite well in some tournaments, but then they lacked the consistency massively as well. So it's good to see JT, Floppy, Grim, Hallzerk, and Elige all on that roster now. They got probably the needed experience compared to Fang, who was still a bit young, basically, as well, and didn't have experience in NA. Next up, we've got EG, and basically EG, they have basically dropped their entire first team and brought up EG Black. So I'm going to say straight up, probably the best change they should have done, and I don't know why they were wasting their time bringing in EU players over and over and over again when it just wasn't working, okay? So basically, they got Junior, George, Walco, Hex T, and Rush as a substitute, and they keep automatic. Now, overall, this is a very, very good change, given the fact that EG Black were arguably better than the actual EG themselves. And also, finally, they get rid of the final NRG trio of Breezy, who had not been performing well at all. And I would be surprised if Breezy goes to Valorant, given the fact that the EG toxicity, of course, that little thing that's dug into this entire quintet, has not really worked well. And I'm not saying, any of these players are bad or anything like that. It's just the lack of work ethic and stuff like that just really seeps in deep. And ever since Stewie, ever since Ethan and stuff like that, this CSGO team has been effectively cursed, and, basically a lot of players in this team would have been, their progress would have been halted. And it's something that's going to get away from the team for Breezy. But good thing they bring in hungry players like Walco, Hex, George, and Junior, who have been performing exceptionally well at various events. And a lot of people were expecting them to be fielded at big tournaments, given the fact that they played so well at Blast. And Junior has recaptured his old form as well, which is really, really good to see as well. Now, they've got basically a good IGL with Automatic. I was actually really disappointed with Automatic trying to tweet at Stewie, bringing him back to the team. And I was sitting there going, mate, he's the reason why your EG is in this position in the first place. Like, he's one of the big reasons. Next up is Falcons. Now, Falcons, they've got rid of Python, Kenny S, and Masuda, kind of expected. And they picked up Lonks, MHL, and Boros. And this is the most out there roster change from a French team, where they pick up the Lonks, the Romanian, who played amazingly well. They picked up the Orpa from Mouse next in MHL. Now, MHL, I'm going to say, this is probably a gamble one as well. Given the fact that MHL, while I was at AGO, kept sitting out due to college and stuff like that, especially during ESL Pro League. And last but not least, you got Boris, and Boris is an absolute star rifler. He's from Endpoint to various different teams, and I think he's going to go from strength to strength in this roster as well. Now, they're going to be NBK, Body, Lonks, MHL, and Boris, and I feel this is going to be a huge, huge team to, basically look at, given the fact they've got experience of Body, they've got experience of NBK, and then they've got two young riflers who are going to surprise, and a great young Orpa as well. Well, I guess he's not so young anymore, actually. Next up with Liquid, they got rid of Nitro, which is expected, given the fact that Nitro has retired, and they got rid of Elite as well. So Elite going was a bit surprising, to be honest. But given that they're going more into Europe, they had to cut an American player, and well, they're not going to cut NAF, and they're not going to cut basically not going to cut NAF. That's the other thing as well, and they're not going to cut Yakinda or anything like that. So might as well go European. So to pick up Patsy from Team Spirit, which is actually a very, very good pickup. And they pick up Rainwaker from 500. Now, Rainwaker is probably one of the star players for 500. This is kind of a out there pick from Liquid. I'm a bit surprised they picked up Rainwaker, given the fact there's a lot of other tier 2 rifles in the scene that they could have got decently. And I've got to say, like, we got to see how this hangs out. Patsy's a great addition, but Rainwaker, will it be able to bring Liquid to the next length? Now, given that someone actually said as well they could have replaced OCE instead, I don't think OC is, like, I've said this many times, I don't think OC is the problem. Like, OC does what is needed to be done. He is not the star AWPer. However, people have said as well that, you need a star AWPer if you want to win a championship, which could be true. But overall, I'm going to say I feel like the AWP role may be a bit overstated in the next meta. We're not entirely too sure. Next up is Nip, and Hampus returns, so naturally so. Alex EV is just going to be booted out. Pretty much it, I mean, nothing to really say. I mean, Alex EV was just there to be an IGL while Hampus was taking a personal break. And Hampus returns. Next up was another one, Dupree. Well, he said it himself when he was doing the Blast Major that he's getting a bit old. So they picked out Dupree, put up Flames. So understandable, Flames being a very, very good player for the various rosters that he's played with. Now actually joins back up with Spinks as well, which is pretty awesome for Vitality. The OG roster, going to say, just basically imploding. And they didn't want Flames. So Vitality just picked them up. Easy. Okay, pretty easy pickup, not gotta say. So it's basically going to be Apex, Iwu, Magisk, Spinks, and Flames. I gotta say as well, eventually Magisk is probably going to be replaced as well at this stage. Next up is the rumored changes. The rumored changes is minus Buster, minus Stefani, plus Electronic, plus Perfecto. Now this will actually be a big overhaul, by the way, from Cloud9. Because Cloud9 will change the IGL setup, making Electronic IGL. And they'll be getting rid of Buster, which is, like I say right now, they really should have got rid of. They should have never picked up Buster in the first place. In fact, I'm going to say the worst transfer I've ever seen is plus Buster minus Inters. Okay, that was probably led to Cloud9's downfall. Now, you may have noticed as well that Mary Snake has gone after Nafani, saying he's a shit. Not saying he's a shit IGL, but he's like not a decent IGL. And he wasted people's careers and stuff like that as well. He actually commented that they wasted. He wasted Axile's like streak and Shiro streak as well. I don't think he did, given the fact that get Cloud9 to get where they were previously. If you thought about it 3 years ago, they were not even 3 years ago. Sorry, 4 years ago, that they were only competing in Advanced, and now they're competing in Tier 1. So I don't think that term is really fair to say from Mario Snake, to be honest. But I guess a lot of these analysts and stuff like that as well just want to be relevant, so they will clickbait or dramatize or anything like that. If they get a reply from the player, all well the better as well. Now, the reason why I don't think this change is going to be all great. Everyone's thinking it's going to be all great if this change goes through. Is mainly because what sort of IGL is electronic, okay? Was he Blade managed, i.e. managed by the coach, or is he an IGL in his own right? Because there are a lot of IGLs out there who are managed by the coach, and most of the strategies and tactics come from the coach, and they have it on the piece of paper next to them. Now, when they go to Cloud9, Electronic won't have the experience of Blade, he'll have Finn basically lead the charge for him. So just to put it this way, because, you know, Finn is a completely different coach for Blade, and an IGL change could spoil this team. Okay? Like, that's my opinion. Like, you know, Sheer and Axel might be having great years, but it could have been because of Nafani or because of his lead structure, the coaching structure, and stuff like that. And when they switch over to Electronic and Perfecto, they may not have that rhythm. Now, a lot of people have stated that, you know, basically, Cloud9 have nothing to show for it when they had great years from Shearer and Axile, and they put the blame at the IGL. At the end of the day, it's a team game. You know, it's a team game. You can have two players performing, but you still may not win. Did anyone point fingers at all the other NAVI roster members when Simple was winning all these not MVP, sorry, MVP trophies and stuff like that? Did Simple point at his teammates? No, he clearly said he's unhappy with it. Like, you know, he'd rather have a team award, it's a team game. And, you know, he clearly recognized it. Now, ironically enough, Simple actually inserted himself into this drama as well, talking about Mario Snake being a boring analyst, and now it's become a bit of a meme as well. I'm going to say overall, I don't think this change is as big as everyone's harping up to be. I think this would be a mediocre change at best, okay? I think this would actually spoil Cloud9, and Cloud9 will suffer as a result, okay? That's what I think it will happen. They'll suffer as a result short term. They may gain long and medium term, but we'll see what that happens as well. Now, you know, basically, if another change they suggest, which is going to be minus Hobbit instead and pick up Electronic and Perfecto, I feel that's probably a better change. You keep your IGL, you bring in two good players, good rosters that can play any sort of role, and you've got that all-star AWP, and you've got Axel who's an absolute gun. I think that's probably going to be the right change because Hobbit is probably on the tail end of his career. Okay, and Hobbit did bring a lot of firepower and actually played amazingly well in this Cloud9 roster, Gambit roster, which I was actually surprised by. I couldn't believe, like, I didn't think Hobbit was going to perform to that extent. So that's the roster they suggest. I gotta say that's not probably going to be roster, okay? If they drop Nafani and pick up Electronic as IGL, I gotta say right now, I feel like it's gonna be a disaster. I feel like they're gonna find out that Electronic was led by Bladey and managed by Bladey, just like how Boomage was led and managed by Blade before, not Bladey, sorry, Blade before. And they're gonna find out that it's not a good change, and they're gonna be like 6 or 7 months in the wilderness, and everyone's gonna be like, you know, super happy hype train, and they're gonna, you know, go down the slope in realization that, hey, this wasn't a good change, and the analysts who are all saying that, you know, it's going to be the best change ever, will turn around and start criticizing them. That's my take on it. Now, Furia is going to be minus Drop, minus Sappy, plus Fallen, plus Cello. I don't think this is a good idea for Furia. Okay? I mean, I guess you can go to the Legendary IGL and get a new rifle in there as well to see you know, see if you can revitalize things in the team. Furia's game style's just got to change, and Fallen probably is the right results to get fresh face on the IGL sheet. They're trying to play a new style that's not really suited for them, and it would be Yuri, Art, Quesarado, Cello, and Fallen. I reckon this will probably be a decentish team, but I don't feel Furia are going to be turn around overnight and revitalize that they're going to take on top teams. Furia's game style has been very stale, okay? Very, very stale, and they're not even sure themselves of what their playstyle is going to be. And it's been sliding down ever since they, you know, introduced the Krieg into the game. They haven't had any new ideas for the game at the moment, Furia. They've just been languishing and, you know, getting results here and there. I mean, their major performance is number one reason why Furia is just stagnating, because they went 0-3 after qualifying with the Legends pick. I mean, if that doesn't spell disappointment, I don't know what does. Now, Mouse. Okay, Mouse, this has changed, actually, because they got rid of JDC, so it's minus JDC, minus Dexter, plus Sui. Now, I've got to say, I can understand, at this point, being like, okay, well, Mouse, they got a bit down out of form at the moment. The Major was pretty bad, but they did recover at the end. But, plus Sui would be great. They get the IGL back from Mouse next. Most of these players have played with Sui before, so that's really, really good to see that most of the Mouse next boys are back together again, minus JDC, of course. But I guess say overall, good change. Dexter, he'll probably move on to another team as well. You know, would be too surprised. Mouse will get a big win here. Now, this person's actually said they will emerge as the biggest winners of CSGO Rostermania. I don't think they would. I think this is just probably an obvious change to go back to an IGL that they're familiar with, and that they took down We Play Academy with as well. So overall, it was probably going to be, that's wrong, by the way. They'd probably be Sui. I'm not sure the replacement with JDC, but we'll see what else happens as well. So with NAVI, they're going to take out NPL, which is to be expected. NPL hasn't really fit in the team. They're getting rid of Perfecto and Electronic, who are going to Cloud9, and they're going to pick up EMED, JL, and LXCB. I'm actually a bit surprised that Apex didn't really fight to keep JL, given the fact JL has been a big part of that roster. Of course, NAVI could always, just take EMED off Game Allegiant's hands. I'm surprised that no other team have taken off it sooner. And if Electronic's going, they need a new IGL, bringing in LXCB, making NAVI an international roster. I'd say overall, these are probably good changes to get a good rifler that can really back up Simple, as well as JL as well, another good rifler as well. They can really back up Simple's firepower, even though Simple has been fading as of late as well. And also, you can basically build up with Bit as well, who's a young star coming in, so that's good to see as well. Next up is the most puzzling changes that I've ever seen from a team, and that is OG, okay? They came out and said they were building a team around Regali, Keto, and Fasha, which I'm going to be real is probably one of the what the hell moments I have ever seen. Okay, I know Regali is good, but Keto and Fasha? No, you can't build a team around these guys. And you didn't even keep Dexter. Which is I don't get it, okay? I don't understand this change. This change confuses me greatly. Yeah, I don't know. If OG, this is a roster where no one's got any expectations of OG playing well. That's pretty much it. That's what I'm going to say right now. I do not feel OG are going to be playing well with this roster. If they play well with this roster, it's an absolute, everyone loves it. But I gotta say, I don't see this roster going anywhere, okay? I feel this roster is super weak. That's right, they're building around Nexa and Fiku. I don't think Fiku's a player you can build around, to be honest. He hasn't shown the star power that, hey, this is the guy you want to build around. You know who does, though? Dexter. Now, TSM. So apparently TSM wants to come back in the scene and they can pick up Dupree, Sirison, and Jax. I have no idea why you pick up any of these players, to be honest. Dupree, yeah. But Sirison and Jax? No idea. I don't think this team would mesh, to be honest. Don't think it at all. But there's also 100 Thieves and a few other teams making making waves as well. They could come back into it. But that's it for me, to be honest. Like I say, I feel like the biggest trade, the biggest surprise was definitely the Astralis. I would never have thought Astralis would ever replace Casper Hift. I don't know how to pronounce his name, but stuff it, and Hunden. I would never dreamed that they replaced him, and they just did that just like that. The biggest disappointing move is OG. I feel like OG, I don't know where they're going as a team. I feel like this is going to be a really bad roster change for them. It's going to set them back quite a bit. Last but not least, the one roster change that I feel is not going to work out is the Cloud9 changes if they get rid of Nafani. I reckon if they get rid of Nafani, I think Cloud9 just languishes and slips back. And all those pundits that keep saying, oh, Nafani bad, will be like, Nafani, please come back. He wasn't as bad as you wanted. Or anything like that. But anyways, hope you guys have a good one. What do you think about, my ideas? I'll not hear from you. See you guys later. Peace out.